now for our top story today. The New York Times reported that they obtained a few pages of Donald Trump's tax returns, and the information within them doesn't bode well for the Republican presidential candidate. Trump claimed a $916 million loss in 1995, a loss that may have allowed him to reduce the income taxes he owed. It's very possible that Donald Trump has been legally avoiding paying taxes, and for that, he calls himself brilliant.
As a businessman and real estate developer, I have legally used the tax laws to my benefit and to the benefit of my company, my investors, and my employees. I mean, honestly, I have brilliantly used those laws.
The New York Times claimed to have obtained the documents through mail from an anonymous source, and while the validity of these documents is not yet confirmed, it is only increasing the pressure on Trump to release his tax records. Some are saying that this could be the straw that breaks the back of the Trump campaign. Sean, do you think this is going to affect Trump supporters at all?
No, I don't think it's going to affect the supporters, but I really do think it's going to influence those undecided voters, especially in swing states. So it'll be really interesting to see how this topic is addressed in future debates, especially the vice presidential debate tonight.
I completely agree, Sean. Our news correspondent, Moses Small, has the update on global and U.S. news.
Thank you, Claire. There's always a lot going on inside and outside the country, and here is the news for this morning. Talks between Russia and the U.S. about the conflict in Syria were formally suspended on Monday due to Russia's role in bombing rebel-held areas of Aleppo, Syria. Talks between the two countries have been tenuous at best recently because Russia seems to be backing the Assad government in the conflict, and the U.S. objects to this. The fighting in Syria has killed 500,000 people since the start in 2011, and the only thing that the two powers can agree on is that groups such as the Islamic State need to be slowed and stopped, and it's unclear when the two will restart talks aimed at creating another Syrian ceasefire. An investigation is taking place to look into the train crash in New Jersey, which led to one fatality and injured over 100 people on Thursday morning. The train failed to stop and derailed while coming into the Hoboken transit station. The engineer of the train, Thomas Gallagher, said that he didn't recall any technical problems on the train leading up to the crash and was knocked unconscious during. Of the people hospitalized, 74 have been released so far, but the cause of the accident is still unknown. The one deceased was identified as Fabiola Bitar de Kroon, a 34-year-old Hoboken resident. More information is still coming out from New Jersey, and this was the first fatal crash to happen in New Jersey Transit since 1996. Shimon Peres, an Israeli leader famous for his efforts to make peace between the Israelis and Palestinians, passed away on Wednesday and is being remembered around the world. The funeral for Peres brought officials from 75 different countries, including Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu of Israel and President Mahmoud Abbas of the Palestinian Authority, and also U.S. President Barack Obama. Also, Israeli and Palestinian leaders shook hands before the memorial service, which is rare for leaders between the two, which are historically at war. Mr. Peres served in multiple top positions in the Israeli government since its founding and earned a Nobel Peace Prize in 1994. He was 93 years old when he passed away. Japanese cell biologist Yoshinori Ohsumi won a Nobel Prize for studies in cell recycling, a process also called self-eating, where cells break down and use some of their components to make new ones. This process is thought to go wrong in cancer and infectious diseases, and is disrupted in other cell-related processes like aging. His work began in the 90s, where he was turned down from jobs after getting a PhD in chemical biology, and he instead studied cell reproduction in yeast. Mr. Ohsumi opened up a new field of study with his work that could have implications in the medical field, and was given a Nobel Prize for medicine. That's all the news I have for you today. Now back to you, Sean and Claire.
Now, Moses, is this going to be a major breakthrough for medicine? Could this be the important cure that we need for some of these horrible diseases like cancer?
I think it certainly has the potential to be, because no one really knows what's going on with cell recreation and with all the reproduction processes there, and it does have connection to a lot of other parts of the body and other cell actions. So I think it has potential to do a lot in medicine.
All right, well, thank you so much, Moses.